Hello friends, in this video we will learn how to program LED. We know LED is an output device and till now we have programmed motors which also were output devices. Let's first look at the learning objectives of this video. First, we will get introduced to LED. We will understand what is LED and some basic things about LED. Then we will see how we can create a simple circuit which will help us to switch LED on and off. Then we'll understand a few things we need to consider while we program LED. And finally, we will look at the hardware setup to control LED via Arduino. So what is an LED? We have seen LED, it looks like this. LED is an acronym for the word light emitting diode. What is a diode? Diode is an electronic component which is unipolar, which means it allows the current to flow only one direction. In circuit diagrams, we use this as a symbol for LED. The arrows, they indicate that it emits light, and the two terminals of LED are called anode and cathode. If we look a little more closer inside the LED, you will find two plates, one big plate and one small plate. And there is a purpose for these two terminals to have different length. One of them is positive while the other is negative. The positive is called as anode and the negative is called as cathode. Usually the long leg of LED denotes anode, while the shorter leg denotes cathode. But you may have some naughty people who may cut the leg and then you are not able to understand from the length of the leg which one is cathode and which one is anode. In that case, it is advisable to look at the plate size. The plate size can be observed by looking inside the LED. Take the LED, look into the light and you will find two plates inside the LED. One is a slightly bigger plate that denotes cathode, while the other one is a smaller plate and that denotes anode. To remember, the tall and slim is anode, while the short and fat is cathode. LEDs must be supplied with voltage above their threshold voltage, which means you cannot supply less voltage to LED. It needs to be above the threshold voltage. Then only the LED will start emitting light. And we also need to ensure that the current passing through the LED is below their given rating. Now, which means we must connect a current limiting resistor in the path of LED. When we look at the simple circuit using LED, we will see how to connect a current limiting resistor. You might have observed that some students, they do some projects and they lit LED using some power supply. It is quite successful, so they bring to school and then they try to show it to teachers, and then at that moment the LED does not glow. The reason is they have not connected the current limiting resistor. And because they have not connected the current limiting resistor, the excessive current damages the LED. The damage is not instantaneous if the current is not huge, but in a short duration you will see the LED getting damaged. And hence current limiting resistor is very, very important. As I spoke in my last slide that diodes are unipolar. They allow the current to pass only in one direction, only in a forward direction, which is from anode to cathode. And that clearly means that anode must be connected to positive polarity while cathode must be connected to ground so that LED can switch on. If we connect it in other way, that is anode we connect to ground and the cathode to the positive polarity, then the LED will not emit light. It will not be switched on because the current will not flow. Now let's see how we can create a simple circuit using LED. Now here a voltage plus minus that indicates cell, battery cell. And the positive is connected to the anode terminal of LED, while the cathode is connected to the negative terminal via a resistor, and this is our current limiting resistor. So this is a simple circuit which you can build, and you will see that LED will light up. Now here we have shown how to create this circuit using the real components on the breadboard. We connect the LED on the breadboard as shown, and one end of the LED, which is anode, we connect a wire here. In the negative, as we see here from cathode, we connect resistor. So we have connected a resistor, and resistor we have connected through another wire here. And so when we connect a battery here, the negative end of the battery to this wire and positive end of the battery to this wire, you will see the LED will glow. So this is a simple circuit which you can build on a breadboard. Now let's consider if I want to control the LED using Arduino. What should I do? It is clear that we cannot connect the negative of this to the Arduino negative and positive to the Arduino positive or 5-volt pin. Reason is, in that case the LED will be continuously glowing, and what we are interested is in controlling the LED. Whenever I want, I should be able to switch on and switch off. I should be able to control the switching on and switching off through a program, and hence we cannot directly connect the positive end to the 5-volt and negative to the ground of Arduino. We need certain different arrangement. So generally the anode is connected to a GPIO pin, a general purpose input output pin on the Arduino, because we can control the supply given to the GPIO pin. We can make it high, we can make it low, and through that we can control the switching on and off of LED. And hence the anode is generally connected to the GPIO pin, while the cathode is connected to the ground pin of Arduino. Now there are a few more things to consider. Choosing the proper GPIO pin. If we want to switch on and off LED, just switch on and off. We know switch on and switch off, these are only two values. Two values means they are digital values. Because they are digital values, we can connect this to any of our digital GPIO pins. That is from pin 2 to 13. We generally don't use 0 and 1 because we leave them for the serial communication. So between pin 2 and 13, you can connect it to anywhere if we want only to switch on and off. Let's say if I want to control the brightness of LED. Now, the moment we talk about controlling brightness, we talk about giving different values, more than two values, and more than two values, we use the PWM pins. In case of controlling the brightness of LED, we must use PWM pin. The commands, based on this information, we know if you want to control the LED as switch on and off, we need digital write, only two values, on off, and here the value would be high or low. When we want to control the brightness, of course we will use analog write. Now let's have a look at how we will connect this to Arduino. We spoke about it. We have a negative terminal of LED, we have a positive. Now negative, we know that we have to connect it to the ground of Arduino. So we will connect it to any of the grounds. There are 3 ground pins. Any of the ground pins we can connect the negative terminal. And the positive terminal has to be connected to the GPIO. We will connect it to one of the PWM pins because they can be used as either digital or PWM pins. So we will connect it to, let's say, pin number 5. And now our hardware setup is ready to accept the LED program. So we are at the end of our lesson here, and we have understood the basics of LED. We have understood how to build a simple circuit using LED. We also understood the requirements for programming an LED, different considerations for programming an LED. And finally, we looked at the hardware setup and we built the hardware setup to test the LED programs. And now it's time to create our LED programs. And hence in our next video, we will learn how to make LED programs using Arduino.